Okay, it's finally here. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers issue 117 has finally dropped, and once again, like I say every month, Melissa is killing it with this story arc. She is knocking it out of the park, and once again, this was another solid issue. Now, earlier on in the month, I covered on the channel that we know when Darkest Hour is going to end, and it's going to be ending roughly about in August. And it's only a matter of time before those press solicitations drop, which we'll probably be getting within the next couple of months, closer to when August rolls around. But after reading 117 several times, we are definitely getting closer to the end game of Darkest Hour, and we're going to be going over that in this video. So get ready, because Mighty Morphin Power Rangers 117 is... So the issue opens up with the planet Aquitar, which is really cool to see, because in Power Rangers history, they've never actually shown Aquitar properly, because they've shown it in the show, but it's always been under this weird underwater effect or filter, or on the viewing globe, or they'll have some weird stock image or something from the Sentai that say that's Aquitar, but we've never seen what the planet actually looks like on the planet itself. And what we get with the artwork here, I really do enjoy the design of Aquitar, where we get to see the underwater design, but not only that, the people of Aquitar and what the land of Aquitar actually looks like. So the artwork is really solid here when we get to see what the planet of Aquitar looks like. Alright, so I went on my tangent about Aquitar. So the issue opens up with Aquitar being invaded by Dark Specter and his forces, and of course, with his new enhanced powers, the alien rangers didn't stand a chance and they're quickly converted. But one thing that is happening is, while this is going on, you've got Dark Specter narrating and monologuing about rangers and how whenever they fight, they always respond with morphing, and now that has been taken away from him, and that just shows what power level Dark Specter is on right now, because Rangers, they always respond with morphing. When they get into a fight, they morph, and now when they morph, that's been taken away, and they get turned into his thralls, his henchmen. So it shows how dire the situation is right now with how powerful Dark Specter has become. So the alien rangers are captured and Aquitar has been taken over, and you've got Dark Specter gloating about his brand new powers and how powerful he's become, and Rita chimes in by saying that her spell helped, and Dark Specter responds with, well, you didn't do fucking shit. Well, he doesn't say it like that, but he views that her spell wasn't needed because he's got all of his raw power and he's able to do it by himself, and if Rita gets in his way, well, he can easily dispose of her whenever he wants, because he's got all this power now. So Dark Specter dips and goes back into the portal, probably to conquer more Ranger worlds. After that, we then have this back and forth between Alpha 11 and Rita. Yep, that's what we're calling this weird fusion between Alpha 1 and 11. But not for long, don't worry, you probably won't be calling it that by the end of this issue. So Rita and Alpha 11 have this conversation where Alpha 11 says to Rita that Dark Specter forgets that how much of this is her doing, and Alpha 11 is right about that, because Rita is the one who found him a vessel, found Dark Specter a vessel, the one that summoned Dark Specter into this world, but not only that, she was gathering allies along the way. But Rita just casually shakes it off by saying, well, this is Dark Specter's right and privilege, so he deserves to treat her like shit, which is weird that she's putting him over like that because he's this all-powerful being. But Alpha 11 goes on to say that a master that does not appreciate the ones in their service does not deserve them, and goes on to say that he serves Rita and not Dark Specter. But Rita tries to assure him that she hasn't forgotten about their purpose, and Zordon will eventually receive justice. Alright, so on the next few pages, things go in a direction that I did not see coming. So because Earth doesn't have much lines of defenses left, Taylor decides that she's going to train the people of Angel Grove and Safe Haven through some boot camp training, which is really cool because of Taylor's background being in the military. And one moment I do like about this scene is a back and forth that she has with Jason, where Taylor is questioning if these random civilians do have a chance at stopping this army that Dark Specter is bringing, and Jason responds with that the odds probably aren't in their favor, but the biggest strength is humanity, and even if there is no chance, they'll never stop trying, which gave me flashbacks earlier on to Berserk, where Guts gives that big speech about humans and how they'll fight to survive. This is pretty much the same thing here. So Taylor, along with Jason and a couple of other rangers, enter the Hollow training program to fight a monster along with a bunch of thrall putties. And here you have the rangers trying to fight off the monster, while the civilians are doing their best to sort of chime in and help along as well. And while this is all going on, you've got Bulk and Skull getting into typical Bulk and Skull shenanigans, where they're trying to save a baby and they're just scrambling around trying to see if they're in too deep or not about this situation. But while they're scrambling around, Jason comes in and saves them and gives them a thumbs up and gives them some encouragement by telling them that they're doing great. And this motivates them a little bit more to keep going as well. So I do wonder how Bulk and Skull are going to fare when the big final battle actually comes to Earth and they get involved, because even though they did have that comedic moment where they're trying to save a baby and they're trying to sing lullabies to it and stuff like that, they get it to calm down, and even though it's just a hologram training, they are doing the bare minimum by getting civilians to safety and making sure that they're alright, even though they're not fighting the monsters. So they're still helping, which is cool to see. So while this is all going on, you've got Kendall, Billy, the Phantom Ranger, and Terrana working on the power eggs, and finally, they manage to open up the power eggs and we get to see what's inside of them. And what we get is not dinosaurs, not a Zord, we get the Morphin Grid in the form of a crystal, which is pretty cool within itself. I was not expecting that to be inside of it. And what they decide to do with this power is use the crystal with the arch to make a shield around the Earth, and we'll see that come into play very, very soon. After that, we then cut to the Y79 galaxy, and we've got Dark Specter fighting none other than the Psycho Rangers, and he is wrecking their shit, which is really interesting because he's coming face to face with something that eventually becomes his downfall, and that is pointed out to him on this page. Now, because they're Rangers, he wants them to serve him, but Rita chimes in by saying that the Psycho Rangers probably isn't a good idea because of how unpredictable they are, and even under his control, they probably won't listen. But Dark Specter just tells her to shut up because he doesn't want her opinion. And Dark Specter tries sending the Psycho Rangers to Earth, but that doesn't work thanks to the new shield around Earth stopping them from Dark Specter invading, which is kind of a good thing because if the Psycho Rangers went to Earth, that would have been game over for a lot of Rangers. I don't know what Rangers probably would be able to hold their own against the Psycho Rangers. There's only been a couple that have managed to hold their own, but I don't think that the Mighty Morphin team and probably the Omega Rangers would have stood a chance against the Psycho Rangers with how powerful they are and how they adapt to the battlefield and stuff like that when fighting the Rangers. So Earth got kind of lucky there. Alright, so back on Earth, they've got the shields up and they'll keep them safe from Dark Specter for now. But Zordon has a request for the Hyperforce Rangers to use their ship, and the next few pages are freaking crazy. I loved these next few pages leading to the end of the issue. So the next few pages, we've got the Hyperforce Rangers traveling through space and time to gather allies. First up, we see Joe going to the Envoy Galaxy, where he rescues Zeo Ranger Gold and the Blue Centurion. Now, which Gold Ranger is it? Is it Jason? Is it Trey? Well, I'll let you guys debate that in the comment section, but I think it's Trey. It's how they're speaking to one another, and I don't think Jason would call the Blue Centurion his friend and to stand tall. It doesn't sound like Jason would say, in my opinion, so I think this is Trey. But if it is Jason, that'd be really cool. You get to see an older Jason interacting with a younger version of, well, no, I don't say too old because Jason was only a couple years older than his younger self during the Mighty Morphin days, but I think it's Trey. I honestly think it's Trey. My money's on Trey. Next page, we go to Corinth, and we have Dr. K along with Gem and Gemma being rescued. Then we go to Miranoi, and we have Jack rescuing the Magna Defender and the Lost Galaxy Pink Ranger. Now, this is a tricky one because we don't know who it is here. We don't even know with how they're speaking, it's hard to see who it is here. Is this Mike? Is this the Magna Defender? Is this Corone? Is this Kendrix? No idea. We're gonna have to wait until they take off their helmets to find out who it actually is, to find out is this, like, which Lost Galaxy Ranger is this, and which reincarnation of the Magna Defender this is. So we've got a mystery on our hands right now with trying to figure out who this is. And then we've got this page to talk about. I feel like this one is going to pop people because of the interactions we can get. So on the final rescue mission page, we cut to Reefside in the future, and we have Dino Thunder Tommy and Trent fighting off SBDNA's squad. So we've got future Tommy here, and there are so many possibilities that can happen here. We can see him interact with his old team, we can see him interact with his old flame Kimberly, and even interact with his young self here. I don't know if Melissa has that planned, but seeing older Tommy here, like Dino Thunder Tommy here, I am so curious if they're actually going to do something with this later down the line within the next couple of issues, because there is so much banter and so much interactions we can get with older Tommy, like going to the past and like interacting with like Angel Grove in the past. Like there are so many possibilities here that can happen right now with Dino Thunder Tommy showing up. Like I'm hoping that Melissa had something planned with this. Like fingers crossed we have like Dino Thunder Tommy interacting with like his MMPR self or his MMPR counterpart or something like that. Oh my god, like I'm lost for words, right? Like I have no idea what Melissa has planned for this, but seeing Dino Thunder Tommy here, that popped me when I scrolled down and turned the page. So after all of that, we then cut back to Safe Haven, and we have Dark Specter, who is pissed off, as usual, at Rita for her failures. And he's really pissed off here because even Rita can tell. Because props to the artist here, props to the artist for the attention of detail here for this page and panel, but special props to the artist for the entire issue. Like, they did a really good job here, because when Rita's getting told off by Dark Specter and she's on her knees groveling here, you can literally see tears about to come out of her eyes. Like, she knows that she's failed and she might die here, but Dark Specter soon tosses the remains and the scraps of Alpha 11 in front of her, and this has Rita shocked. And I know that seems weird to a lot of people, but Alpha 1 and Rita at the time seemed to relate to one another when they first met, and Alpha 1 did have complete loyalty to her. So the reason why we're seeing Alpha 1 scraps here, or Alpha 11 scraps here in front of Rita, is because Dark Specter hears everything, and of course he demands complete loyalty, and this is where he gives Rita her final warning by saying next time she won't be so lucky. So after that, we then come back to Earth again, where Billy and the Phantom Ranger are having a really nice heart-to-heart talk, or a heart-to-chest Ruby talk. But the Phantom Ranger does tell Billy that he's a brilliant young man, and he will change the worlds, and he already has done that. But he should learn from his mistakes, and some actions are never worth the risk. And this is all because of the Phantom Ranger's guilt of creating the Master Arch and what it's brought to this world with Dark Specter being in there. So it's a really nice moment between the two of them. So after that, after their nice little heart-to-heart talk, the Master Arch finally opens up, and none other than Ranger Slayer comes out with the White Light Power Coin. And that was really quick, because I didn't expect that she'd return so soon. I thought it'd be like another issue or two before she'd actually returned. But yeah, Ranger Slayer is back with the Power Coin that will also change the tides in this battle. So it's cool that she's back already. That's really great. They've got more allies together, and not only that, she's got a key factor to that being the Power Coin that's going to change the tides in battle. So thank goodness that the Morphin Masters didn't eat it earlier on in Power Rangers Unlimited, the Morphin Masters. Thank goodness they didn't snack on it, and Ranger Slayer was able to get it back. Alright, so on the final 2 pages, you have Rita confronting Tommy while he's in his prison cell, asking him, is redemption possible for anyone? Because Tommy's legacy was born of evil, and eventually he turned good. And Tommy actually gives Rita a response. He tells her that redemption is always possible, but it has to begin with their intentions and mercy, something that Dark Specter doesn't understand. And on the final page, you have Rita smiling at Tommy's response and agrees with him, saying that she claims that she will no longer serve a master, and while she frees Tommy, she undoes his shackles and say that Tommy will serve her own interests quite nicely. And Tommy's got a confused look on his face, much like I had on my face when I got to the end of this final page. And that pretty much wraps up Mighty Morphin Power Rangers 117. So yeah, that was Mighty Morphin Power Rangers 117, and overall, like I said at the start of the video, this was another solid issue, and Melissa is still knocking it out of the park as we get closer and closer to the finale of Darkest Hour, which will be ending within 6 months, I believe. So we've got a couple more issues to go with Darkest Hour before we get to the big climactic finale. But this issue definitely does set up the final act and the structure of Darkest Hour as we get closer and closer to the end game. Like, this issue had a lot going for it. Like, we had Taylor and Jason training civilians if the battle does come to them. You had the death of Alpha 11 or Alpha 1 because, you know, he wasn't loyal to Dark Specter, so Dark Specter disposed of him. You've got everyone gathering allies for this big final battle, as they know that Earth is the new safe haven where people can go where they won't be corrupted from Dark Specter's influence. But not only that, you've got Rita switching sides, it looks like, where she no longer wants to serve Dark Specter, so she finally came around. Now, Rita is definitely probably going to go back to being Rita at the end of this issue. She's Mistress Vile, but she's going to go back to being, like, you know, evil Rita that we had in Mighty Morphin, where she has to shackle down with Lord Zed after at the end of all of this. And this is sort of like in line with what Rita's mother did say all those issues ago, where Rita does have good in her heart and she can make good decisions, or she's bound for goodness because she does become Mystic Mother in the end. But again, this is Rita switching sides, which is another swerveball that I did not see coming, and I didn't see it going in this direction, where she would actually jump ship so soon within the issue. I thought she'd sort of switch sides near the finale, but she does say that she's going to serve her own interests and not Dark Specter's interests, so I am curious to see where she's going to go from here, and will she join the Rangers, or will she just be doing her own thing in the shadows that will lead closer and closer to the big finale. But either way, this was a really fantastic issue, and I can't wait to see where it's going to go moving forward. So, what did you guys think of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers 117? Tell me in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. With that said, I'm out of here. Have a wonderful day or night, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out, take care, bye.